if you're going to drill an allocation well across a couple of units, is there a lease analysis component to that to say, what am I allowed to do
Oh yeah,
from an allocation well standpoint? Like, what's that kind of well clearance process look like for attorneys and landmen?
for sure. Yeah, your number one job is always read your lease, right? Like when we talk about some of the CLEs I'll give about retained acreage clauses, and I always lead with, hey, we're going to talk about this stuff, but your lease might say something else. And what your lease says, because Texas courts will say they're incredibly consistent for the past 100 years. We're going to look at the language that these parties use in this lease, right? We're not going to, they're very hesitant to give these bright line general rules that always apply. So what the lease says will govern even over general rules. And it's not that common that we'll see it, but there are, especially from that 2012 beginning of allocation well vintage, you'll see leases that say no allocation wells. That is a problem, right? That's when it goes back to Dudley and you guys got to get some curative and
Yeah.
right. That's when you get the checkbook out.
That's right. That's right. So why would so let's talk about that. Why would a mineral owner say no allocation wells?
Man,
is there like a thing, or just maybe it was fear?
I think fear.
Ignorance?
I mean, if I look at it from my perspective, I get to work with land departments, and I was in the land department, and like we are trying to maximize our production. We're trying to get as much oil and gas out of the ground as I possibly can. And if I drill longer laterals, that's more oil and gas I can suck out of the ground. And it's better for the mineral owner because they're getting a cost-free percentage of that. However, there have been some bad faith operators that have gone out and done some things they shouldn't. Maybe I drilled, 10 feet into your tract and I held it, HPP'd it, and then you have 700 of the acres not getting touched, right?
Yeah.
So there was a natural distrust on the mineral owner side of things. And so you have this new evolution. People don't understand it. And I think we're going out of human nature. If I don't understand it, I'm afraid of it. That's kind of many people's default setting. And, a good example, gosh, there was I won't say his name, but there was a landowner. When we moved to San Antonio, I spent a year kind of bridging while we were setting up the law firm, and I was running a Eagle Ford project for plains exploration. And we had a mineral owner, and man, he was ornery. And we got a title opinion back that said that he didn't own the mineral, or he owned the minerals on the road and he hadn't leased it. And so now we came to him and said, okay, sir, we'd like to drill across the road. We need to amend the lease. We're going to pay you. He's like, no, I don't know how you're doing it, but you're screwing me. And no, I'm not doing it. And so we, even in this, months of meetings transpired where we broke it down on a per lateral foot basis. The longer I extend my well, this is how many more dollars you're going to get. And it was millions. Yeah. And he still said no. And they pulled the wells back, and they drilled the wells, stopped them 100 feet from the road. Crazy, right? It's not rational. And that's an extreme example, but I think that's informative of how some mineral owners are, is that, they didn't understand it until I understand it. I'm afraid of it. I don't like it. And
people fear what they don't understand. Right. And that's
kind
of thing.
And you could talk to, like, for instance, San Antonio's got less and less oil and gas activity from an operator standpoint, but there's a huge oil and gas legal bar, and there's two sides. There's
all that litigation, baby.
Right. There's the operator side and there's the mineral side. And I have a bunch of really good friends over at several firms, and we always butt heads about it. They call themselves the side of the righteous, and so it just depends on what frame you're looking at it. And but I learned from Mr. Arrington that when you're talking within the context of a lease negotiation, no means not right now, and you haven't paid me enough, right?
Yeah,
and so the allocation, right. So the allocation well prohibition is a way to for that mineral owner to get another bite at the apple. And that's legitimate. That's fair. I would do the same thing as a mineral owner, maybe. And so
it's all circumstantial, right? I mean, it is, that's kind of one of those things.